Jordan woke to the sound of silence that felt almost heavier than the storms. He lay in his apartment bed, the morning light slanting through the blinds and painting stripes across his chest. His body felt both heavy and light, at once heavy from exhaustion, light from something he couldn't yet name, a fragile hope he hadn't dared feel in years. Ava hadn't left after the night before. She was still curled beside him, soft breathing in rhythm with his own. For a moment he watched her sleep, the rise and fall of her chest, the faint smile that lingered even in dreams, and he thought, I could do this. I could survive this, maybe even thrive. But then the memories came. Not the ones from last night, those he had lived, but the ones from a life he had thought he'd buried, the ones he thought he had finally survived. He saw his mother, her face twisted in a mix of exhaustion and anger, the way she would bark at him for crying, for needing her to see him, for demanding anything other than silence. He remembered nights of holding his younger self against the mattress, trying to muffle sobs so she wouldn't wake, trying not to be too much. He remembered school, the isolation, the whispered comments that clung like shadows. Everyone knew him as quiet, reserved, the good kid, the one who never complained, who never asked for anything. No one knew the storm that raged inside him. Jordan swallowed hard, feeling the familiar tightness coil in his chest. Panic, he recognized the precursor immediately. He wanted to run, to push the memories away, to hide from the weight he had carried alone for decades. But then Ava stirred, her hand brushing against his arm. Jordan, she whispered. Are you awake? He shook his head slightly, forcing a small smile. Yeah. Just thinking. She propped herself on one elbow, looking at him with those unwavering eyes. About what? Everything. And nothing, he said, voice trembling. Memories. Stuff I thought I'd dealt with. Ava moved closer, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. You don't have to deal with them alone anymore. I'm scared, he admitted, voice barely audible. Scared that if I let it all out, it'll consume me. Scared that I'll never stop being broken. Ava shook her head softly. Jordan, broken isn't the same as human. You're scared because this is heavy, and it is, but you've survived this long. And now you don't have to do it alone. Her words were simple, but each one struck like a hammer, forcing cracks in the walls he had built around himself. He wanted to crumble, to fall apart completely, but something inside, something small, almost invisible, kept him tethered. Jordan sat up, wrapping his arms around his knees. I don't know how to let anyone in, he whispered. Ava kneeled beside him, her hands resting on his shoulders. Start small. One thing at a time. You don't have to fix everything overnight. You just have to open the door a little. That's all. He nodded slowly, feeling both relief and terror in the same breath. He wanted to believe her, but believing had always been dangerous for him. Too often it led to disappointment, abandonment, or pain. I think I need to see Marcus again, he admitted. I can't do this without him. Ava nodded, squeezing his shoulders. Then we'll see him, together. Later that afternoon, they arrived at Marcus's apartment. The air was familiar, the comforting disorder of books and plants, the faint scent of coffee and laundry. Marcus greeted them with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. He knew Jordan's look, the one that carried unsaid weight. You look better, Marcus said cautiously. But I know better than to trust appearances. Jordan managed a small smile. I'm trying. Marcus nodded. Good, that's all that matters right now. They sat in the living room, Ava on one side, Marcus on the other, Jordan in the middle, and for the first time he didn't feel alone. But the shadows of the past were still there, lurking, whispering doubts and fears. I need to talk about my mom," Jordan said finally. The words felt like stepping into freezing water. About what she did, and what she never did. Marcus leaned forward. "Go ahead. I'm listening." Jordan drew a deep breath. She wasn't abusive in the way people think of abuse, but she was neglectful in a way that breaks you slowly, emotionally absent when I needed her most. She expected me to manage my feelings, to handle her emotions too, and I swallowed everything. He looked at Ava, then Marcus. "I feel like I've been swallowing my whole life. Like there's no room for me to exist in my own story. And now I don't know how to take it back." Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then he said softly, "You're not taking it back, you're taking it forward. That's all you can do. You can't change what happened, Jordan. But you can decide how it shapes you from now on." Ava reached for his hand. "And we're here, Marcus and me. You don't have to carry it alone anymore." Tears pricked Jordan's eyes. He wanted to believe her, wanted to let go of the fear, but the past still had claws in him. Memories of her disapproval, of her cold silence, of the nights he cried alone, they were like ghosts that refused to leave. "I feel like if I open up fully, I'll lose control," he admitted. "You won't," Marcus said firmly. "You'll gain control. You'll gain clarity, but it's okay if it's messy. That's how healing works. Messy, uneven, full of setbacks." Jordan exhaled shakily. "I don't know if I'm ready." Ava squeezed his hand again. "You don't have to be ready. You just have to take the first step." He swallowed, feeling a tremor of courage. I want to try." "Good," Marcus said, "because trying is what counts. Not being perfect, not having it all figured out. Just showing up for yourself every day." The room fell silent for a moment, the weight of unspoken history settling around them. But for the first time, Jordan felt a strange lightness. The ghosts of the past were still there, yes, but they were no longer invisible, no longer whispered in shadows. He had named them, he had seen them, and he had people who wouldn't run from them. Ava leaned her head on his shoulder. "We'll face them together," she whispered. Jordan felt tears slip down, but this time they weren't just grief. They were relief, gratitude, and a fragile hope that maybe he could survive the mésalliances of life and still be seen, still be loved, still be human. For the first time in years, he believed it might be possible.